Good morning and welcome to Inside Story. I'm Tamala Edwards, and Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw is our newsmaker this morning. So we want to say first, good morning and thank you, Commissioner, for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And we want to, it's 3 years that you've been here, that you've led the Philadelphia Police Department. You're leaving to become the Deputy Chief at the Port Authority. Now, this is not an overnight decision. It's obviously the end result of a process, one that will take you away from decades of city policing. So I wanted to know, when did you get on the road and why? Was it uncertainty around the incoming administration, a particular event, something else? What led into this moment of saying, I want to take this step?
No, I think the timing was right. I've been a major city police chief for 5.5 years, and quite frankly, I've been working at the executive level on executive team for 10 years. And it's just been a lot, meaning I've had a lot of amazing opportunities to learn different cultures, to work in different regions. And I've been a personal part of the ebbs and flows of changing expectations within a community of policing. So I've witnessed and experienced a lot, have a lot of professional experience in this area. My graduate degree is in business administration. So I knew at some point that I would be transitioning over to either the private sector or either quasi-public private. So I think the timing is perfect in that, of course, there will be a new administration coming in, and they have the opportunity now to select their own team, including their police commissioner. But also at the same time, this is the opportunity for me to apply everything that I've learned in the public sector and apply that to something new, critical infrastructure and transportation and public safety, just in a completely different way. So I think the timing was perfect.
Democratic mayoral candidate Sherelle Parker put out a strong statement praising you in the face of what she called Monday morning quarterbacking. And Commissioner, you have faced an exceptional amount of that. That's included some who said you weren't commanding as a chief, that you were ineffective in the face of crime and gun violence, that they found you absent. People love to talk behind your back and around you, but not to you. We thought it was fair to come to you and give you an opportunity to address that criticism.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Listen, I will tell you this, and I appreciate that you say that, around me, behind my back, because no one will ever say that to my face, nor have they, first of all. Second of all, I came here as an outsider. I didn't have the benefit of growing up in the department where everyone already knew me, whether it's personally or professionally, and working in public service, we're very public beings. With that said, I didn't have the opportunity to be onboarded because COVID hit. So, meaning onboarded with the normal warm touch points that we would see, community meetings, internal meetings, going to schools, meeting in town halls, all these things. So, a lot of my meeting people were for the first time were virtually with virtual room capacities. So when you're talking about 1.6 million people and thousands of employees, there's always going to be someone who says, you know what, I didn't see her. Absent, I don't really know what that means, considering I've been exhausted for the last 3.5 years. But I've been walking and working within my purpose, and I'm really happy about where we've landed. But there's always going to be some form of criticism, which I appreciate, because again, this is public service and no one's perfect. I didn't expect perfection out of this, but given the hand that I was dealt and the resources that I had to deal with, I'm happy to be able to say that I'm leaving the organization far better off than what it was when I got here.
You know, we talked about this a little bit. You had a really tough moment at the start. We had the 2020 George Floyd moment, the pandemic, the protests, and you got a lot of criticism about that decision to send the riot police out to deal with some protesters around the Vine Street Expressway. Some would say it caused fractures within the community, within the department. You've already addressed what happened and how you felt about it. I wanted to touch on it as it's often in those moments that there's a lesson, something that you learn, and that is the thing you can pass on to somebody else when they're in a difficult moment. Do you look at that as a critical moment? Let's say getting off on a wrong foot. What did you learn from it? And what would you tell somebody else in that position?
It absolutely was a critical moment. It was a critical moment for me in that I was hired because of my personal and professional experience that I brought from the West Coast. Having been in California, having been in Oregon, I dealt with either hands-on, technically, I should say, or in leadership positions around. I dealt with civil unrest before. I dealt with Antifa before. I've been in rooms with Antifa before. Um, and there's pretty much a playbook. And what I learned immediately was that I was hired to do something, but I didn't go with my gut and intuition when it came for preparing and planning. And I'm not pointing fingers at any one entity or any one individual, but when I asked the question, "Hey, we're seeing this coming our way. It's happening in other parts of the country. Do you think we need to ramp up for this?" A lot of the responses were, culturally, this doesn't happen here. And I went with that because I'd only been here for maybe 3 or 4 months at that time. And having not lived in Philadelphia, and recognizing that, this is something that maybe we still need to prepare for, even though it hadn't happened here, I kind of went along with what was told to me. And that's something, looking back in hindsight, that I tell myself, okay, next time I need to make sure that I go with my gut intuition. It's always best to be prepared and ready. We can always scale back as opposed to trying to ramp up after the fact. And that's what happened there. And it wasn't just 676. I want to be very clear that that fractured relationships in the community. It was also what happened in West Philadelphia as well. And it wasn't just here in Philadelphia. A lot of my colleagues around the country received some pretty heavy scrutiny about our response to the unrest, because a lot of us were caught off guard by that. And I think what the community has seen moving forward was that we weren't caught off guard again. It hasn't happened since then, because we planned, we were prepared, and we were ready, and we had all stakeholders on board before instead of after.
So listen to your gut, follow your instincts is what other people could take from that as well. And I wanted, we've been very blunt with you. There's sometimes truths that you can share, not when you're in the day-to-day, but as you're leaving. What does the department need to hear? What does City Hall need to hear? What as a city do we have to hear and face?
The police department is but one entity, right? And I think, considering everything that we faced as an organization, not just me as a leader, but everything we faced as an organization, whether it's the unrest, the spikes in the homicides and shootings, which, to be very clear, were increasing steadily since 2015. We experienced the same spike, the extreme spikes in 2020 as other major cities around the country did. But our decreases that we're seeing now are double the national average. Our clearance rates have improved. Our complaints against police are down. Our carjackings are down 40%. Our non-fatal shootings are down around 22%. There's progress here. And the plan that was put in place in June of 2020, in the midst of it all, is working. There's a framework, but it's only going to continue to improve if we continue to work together strong in collaboration as the ecosystem of public safety that we are. There's no time, there's no room for finger pointing, there's no room for saying, okay, we're gonna use our own data and come up with our own plan and work together or work together in our own silo. We have to continue to be vocal with one another. It doesn't necessarily have to be publicly, but understand that the needs and the expectations of community is changing, and we have to be willing to adapt to what they want to be able to do, instead of saying, well, I'm just going to stick to this because I said I was going to do this 5 years ago. We have to be flexible and agile and continue to anticipate what's coming around the corner. We will continue to be successful, but again, just because the police are the most forward-facing, we cannot continue to put all of the onus on the police department, because we won't continue our success if we do that.
And now we know they began a couple of quick ones. They're looking for your successor. Your thoughts on who it should be, somebody from the inside, from elsewhere, and what would be the main thing you tell them to be successful out of the gate?
Be strategic, anticipate what's coming out of the corner, around the corner, meaning, again, don't wait for something to land on your lap. Always stay ready, right? Be collaborative. We're not a team of one person, but also build a kitchen cabinet early, a kitchen cabinet of your trusted advisors, those folks who are going to tell you what things really are, knows the climate of what's going on, be engaged. People have to know who you are personally, but you also have to be willing to be in rooms that's going to say things that might not feel good.
And insider, outsider, one word. Do you have a thought from inside the department somewhere else?
No, I mean, that would be inappropriate for me to say.
And we want you to have the last word and talk about your legacy. We're getting down to the last seconds, but that's where we need to end it. First African-American woman to lead this department. Your quick thoughts on what you're most proud of as you move on to the next challenge.
I am proud that I'm still here. Obviously, I'm leaving on my own terms, but I led this department through one of the most challenging times in the history of policing with an amazing organization of people, and we're all still standing. And the history books have not yet been written, but it will be one day.
Commissioner, thank you and the best of luck.
Thank you.
We'll be back with the panel.